It happened fast. Too fast for my brain to catch up. 1 second, I was walking home from work. Earbuds in, backpack slung over one shoulder. Same route I always took. The next, I was face down on the sidewalk, someone's knee in my back, hands rummaging through my pockets like I was a vending machine. "Don't move." The voice was low, sharp. I felt something cold press into the back of my neck. Gun? Knife? I didn't want to find out. I froze. They took my wallet, my phone, even the canvas tote I was carrying, which had nothing but a Tupperware of leftover pasta and a book I'd been reading. Someone laughed. Another voice muttered, "He's clean. Let's bounce." And then they were gone. I lay there for a few seconds, stunned. My cheek was pressed to the dirty pavement, heart pounding like a jackhammer in my chest. I didn't get a good look at them. Hoodies. Masks. Tall. That's all I had. When I finally pushed myself up, my palms were scraped, knees bruised. I looked around. Empty street. No one saw a thing. I didn't go to the hospital. I didn't even call the cops right away. What would be the point? I just went home, shaking, angry, humiliated. I locked the door behind me and sat on the floor of my apartment until my limbs stopped trembling. Then I filed a police report online and waited for the adrenaline to wear off. It didn't. I barely slept that night. And the next morning, Friday, I called out of work. Told my boss I was sick, which wasn't a lie, not really. I felt sick. My whole body hurt. But more than that, I couldn't stop replaying it in my head. The voices. The pressure. That moment where I really, truly thought, this could be it. Around noon, there was a knock at my door. I froze. I wasn't expecting anyone, no deliveries, no friends. I crept to the peephole, heart in my throat, and looked out. There was a guy standing there. Young, maybe my age, mid-20s. Slim, hoodie, gray, no mask. I didn't recognize him at first, but something about his face made my stomach twist. He raised a hand and knocked again, softer this time. "Hey," he said, not looking directly at the door. "It's about last night." My blood turned to ice. He sighed, glanced over his shoulder like he didn't want anyone seeing him there. "I'm sorry. I didn't want to be part of it. I didn't even know we were gonna hit you." I stood there, staring through the peephole, stunned. "I got your wallet," he said. "If you want it back." He held it up like proof. My leather wallet, worn at the edges. I recognized the little rainbow sticker on the back. It was mine. "I'll leave it here," he said after a beat. "But I wanted to say something." "I didn't." His voice cracked. "It wasn't supposed to go down like that." He set the wallet on the doormat. Then, slowly, he turned and walked away. I didn't open the door. Not right away. But I watched him go. And for some reason I couldn't explain. I wanted to know more. I didn't open the door until I could no longer hear his footsteps echoing down the hallway. Even then, I cracked it open slowly, half expecting him to be hiding to the side like some cheap jump scare. But the hallway was empty. Quiet. Too quiet for midday. And sitting on the doormat was my wallet, exactly where he'd left it. I bent down and picked it up. It felt weirdly heavy. Familiar, but wrong now. Like holding something that had been a part of yourself, but taken through something violent. I stepped back inside and shut the door, flipping through it with cautious fingers. My IDs were there. My credit cards. Even the stupid punch card for the bagel shop by my office. Nothing missing. But there was something new. A folded piece of paper tucked behind my insurance card. My pulse picked up as I unfolded it. "I'm sorry, I need to talk to you." "Please." Under that, a phone number. I stared at it for a long time. My brain went in circles. The guy from last night, or rather, one of the guys, had come all the way here, alone, unmasked, and returned my stuff, and left a number like he wanted. What, forgiveness? To explain? Something worse? I didn't know. I didn't know anything. All I knew was the image of him standing there, head down, voice cracking, like he was scared of his own words. He didn't look like the type who mugged people. Then again, who does? I tossed the paper onto the counter and made coffee, even though my hands were shaking too badly to pour without spilling. I tried not to think about the number, but my eyes kept drifting to it. Then my phone, my replacement phone, since the old one was gone, buzzed on the counter. Unknown number. My throat tightened. Him. It had to be. I let it ring once, twice, 3 times. On the 4th ring, I answered. Hello? My voice sounded small. There was a pause, then a breath. Hey, it's me. Silence pressed between us. I swallowed. You have my number. Yeah, I didn't know if you'd ever call, so... Another breath. Listen, I get if you don't want to talk, or if you want to tell me to fuck off. I deserve that. I didn't say anything. He hesitated. Can we meet? Somewhere public. I'm not trying to freak you out. You mugged me, I said. My voice was steadier than I expected. Or helped. I didn't touch you, he said quickly. Then softer. But yeah, I was there. I should have stopped it. Another pause. I heard him swallow, like he was trying to calm himself. Just hear me out, he said. One conversation, please. I closed my eyes. I should have hung up. Should have blocked the number. Should have called the police, or at least my brother, or a friend, or someone who wasn't currently making the stupidest decision possible. But I didn't. Something in his voice, the guilt, the fear, the way he tripped over his own words, it pulled at me. Not in a romantic way. Not yet. It was something else. Something heavier. Okay, I said reluctantly. Where? He exhaled like he'd been holding his breath. The cafe on Alder Street. Big windows. Lots of people. I'll sit where you can see me. I hesitated. When? Now, he said. I'm already outside. My heart stopped for a second. I walked to the window, slowly, like approaching a cliff edge, blinds slightly open. And there he was, across the street, leaning against a lamppost. Hoodie down this time. Hands stuffed into his pockets. Hair a little messy. He looked nervous. He wasn't looking up at my window. He wasn't even looking around, just staring at the ground like he hated himself. He didn't look dangerous. He looked like someone lost. And for a reason I still can't fully explain, I grabbed my jacket. At the cafe, he stood up when I walked in, like reflex, like he wasn't sure if he was allowed to stay seated. He looked different in daylight. Softer, younger, not intimidating at all. Hey, he said, voice low. Sit, I said, keeping a safe distance. He did. For a second, he didn't speak. Then he rubbed his palms together like they were cold. My name's Tyler, he said. He waited for mine, but I didn't offer it. That's fair, he said quietly, nodding. I didn't know what to say, so I just stared and let him talk, and he did. Last night wasn't supposed to be a mugging, he started. It was just supposed to be, I don't know, stupid bravado, scare someone. My cousin and his friend, they go too far, always. I knew that, but I didn't think they'd actually... He stopped, jaw clenching. His eyes flicked toward me, then away. I should have said something. I should have stepped in. I wanted to. His voice cracked again. But I froze. And that's on me. Something in my chest tightened. Anger, yes, but something else too. Something I didn't want to name yet. He continued. After we ran, I went home, and I couldn't stop thinking about it. About you. The look on your face. I didn't sleep. I threw up, and I kept hearing my cousin laughing about it like it was some big joke. He shook his head, eyes shining with something like shame. "I know you have no reason to believe me," he said, "but I swear to you, I didn't want to hurt you. I didn't want any of it." I didn't respond. I didn't trust myself to. He took a shaky breath. "I came back because I couldn't live with it." Another pause. "And because I wanted to see if you were okay." For the first time since the mugging, I felt my guard falter just a little. Not drop, but shift. His voice softened. "Can you just tell me that you're all right? Even if you lie." I exhaled slowly. "I'm managing." His shoulders relaxed, just barely. Then he looked up at me for the first time, directly, fully, and something passed between us. Small, fragile, unexpected. Something that made the moment feel different, like the story wasn't ending here, like it was just beginning. Tyler didn't say anything for a moment after that. He just looked at me with this strange mix of relief and guilt, like hearing I was managing was the best news he'd gotten all week. Which honestly made me feel weird. I wasn't used to someone caring about how I was after hurting me, even indirectly. I shifted in my seat, trying not to let the silence turn awkward. But he beat me to it. "Can I ask?" He stopped, shook his head, corrected himself. "No? Sorry, you don't owe me anything." "What were you gonna ask?" I said before I could stop myself. He hesitated, eyes flicking down toward the table. "Are you scared of me?" His voice was quiet, not fragile exactly, but honest in a way that left me caught off guard. I studied him, really studied him. His hoodie sleeves were pushed up just enough to show faint bruises on his forearm, like someone had gripped him hard. His jaw had a tense line to it. He wasn't sitting back in his chair. He was hunched forward, elbows on his knees, like he was ready to bolt if I said the wrong thing. Was I scared? I wasn't sure. I didn't feel unsafe around him. The fear I felt the night before came from the chaos, the unknown, not from him. Even last night, when I saw his face in the split second before he ran, he didn't look like someone enjoying any of it. I didn't answer right away. And the longer I stayed silent, the more he shrank into himself. "No," I finally said. "I'm not scared of you." His head snapped up like I just flicked on a light. "You're not?" "No," I repeated. "I should be, maybe. But I'm not." He exhaled slowly, shoulders loosening. For the first time, he looked grateful, deeply, painfully grateful. We sat there like that for a moment, him staring into his coffee he wasn't drinking, and me trying to wrap my head around why I hadn't left yet. Then he cleared his throat. "I need to tell you something," he said, voice steadying, "and I don't know if it'll make you hate me or not." I leaned back cautiously. "Okay." He rubbed the back of his neck, as if searching for the right place to start. "Those guys, my cousin and his friend, they're bad news. I don't hang with them. Not normally. Last night was, I don't know. I messed up. I shouldn't have gone with them." His leg bounced under the table, restless. "They want to do it again. Tonight. Different area." My stomach dropped. "Are you serious?" He nodded. "I'm supposed to go, but I'm not. I'm not doing that again. I'm not that guy." "Then don't go." He laughed faintly, not because he found anything funny. "It's not that simple. My cousin, he doesn't like being told no, and he thinks I'm soft. Last night made it worse. I didn't hurt you. I didn't get involved the way he wanted. He noticed." He said the last part like it tasted bitter. "So what do you want from me?" I asked. His answer was immediate. "Nothing," I frowned. "I'm not here to get something out of you," he added softer. "I'm here because last night made me realize I'm messing up my whole damn life. I needed to tell someone. Someone who wasn't gonna twist it or make it worse. I don't have anyone like that." He swallowed hard, and suddenly I understood the bruises on his arm. "Tyler," I said slowly. "Did he do that?" He blinked like he didn't understand, then glanced down at his forearm. "Oh, no. That was—" He hesitated. "Yeah, it was him." Something dark twisted in my chest. Not pity. Something else. Something hotter, sharper. Anger on his behalf. I didn't know why. We barely knew each other. He'd been part of the group that mugged me. And yet, seeing him shrink into himself like he expected judgment or disgust from me, it was strange. It made me want to sit closer, not farther away. Before I could think of what to say, he reached into his pocket and pulled out something small. My tote bag. The one with my pasta container and book. He set it on the table. "You left it," he said, voice softer than before. I grabbed it when they weren't looking and hid it. I figured you'd want it back. I stared at him. "You risked them seeing you take it?" I asked. He shrugged one shoulder, embarrassed. "It wasn't right to take your stuff, any of it. I wanted you to have it back." It was weird. The moment that followed. Quiet, thick, not uncomfortable, but full of this. Charged something I didn't know how to name yet. He looked up at me, and for the first time all day, there was no shame in his expression, just sincerity. And something else. Something searching. "Why'd you come back?" I asked, even though he'd already told me pieces of it. He opened his mouth, closed it, then opened it again. "Because," he said slowly, as though he were choosing each word with care, "you looked at me last night, just for a second. And I knew you saw me. Not the mask, not the hoodie. Me." Something warm flickered low in my chest. I didn't expect it. I didn't want it. But there it was. "I couldn't shake that," he continued. "I couldn't stop thinking that you deserved better than what you got. And I couldn't just pretend you didn't exist." He let out a shaky breath. "And when I saw you today through your window, I don't know. It was the first time since last night I didn't feel like a total piece of shit." I looked down at my hands, at the small trembling in my fingers. This was too much for a stranger. Too close. Too personal. And yet, "Tyler," I said quietly, "I don't know what you want me to do." He leaned forward slightly, eyes meeting mine. Cautious, but hopeful in a way that felt almost boyish. "I don't want anything," he said. "I just don't want to walk away from this as the same person." The honesty in that hit deeper than I expected. He stood slowly. "I should go. I don't want you thinking I'm trying to force anything." He took one step back, then another. "Wait," I said. He froze. I don't know why I said it. I just did. "Sit back down. I'm not done talking." He turned, and for the first time since I met him, he smiled. Small, careful, but real. He sat, and the shift in the air between us felt unmistakable. Like something new was taking shape. Something neither of us understood yet. Tyler sat back down slowly, like he wasn't sure if he'd imagined my voice, or if I'd changed my mind the second he got comfortable again. He kept his hands on his knees, fingers tapping nervously. I wasn't used to someone looking so unsure around me. Most people barely paid me a second glance. But he watched me like what I said next actually mattered, which made my stomach twist in a way I didn't want to think too hard about yet. "So," he began, then immediately shook his head. "Shit, I don't even know how to start." "Just talk," I said. "I'm listening." He nodded, staring down at his hands. "You shouldn't be. I don't deserve it." That annoyed me more than I expected. "Stop saying that." His eyes flicked up, surprised. "Saying what?" "That you're garbage. Or you don't deserve to be heard. You screwed up, yeah, but you didn't lay a hand on me. And you came back. Most people wouldn't." He swallowed, and for a second it looked like that hit him somewhere deep. "That doesn't make me good." "Did I say you were good?" I said dryly. He let out a breath, half laugh, half shaken exhale. "Okay, fair." The tension eased between us a little, like an invisible weight shifting. The cafe was noisy with people coming and going, forks clinking against plates, someone steaming milk behind the counter. But at our little table in the corner, everything felt strangely insulated, like we were in our own small bubble. Tyler leaned back a little. Not much, but enough to show he wasn't about to bolt again. "Can I ask your name?" he said after a moment. I hesitated. Not because I didn't want to tell him, but because it felt like a step. Like acknowledging this wasn't some one-off conversation with a guy who would disappear after apologizing. "It's Eli," I said. He repeated it softly, like he wanted to memorize the shape of it. Eli. It did something to me I didn't want to think about. "So," I said, clearing my throat. "What happens now? With your cousin and the other guy?" Tyler tensed instantly. His jaw clenched. "That's the thing. I don't know. If I don't show up tonight, he'll blow up my phone. He'll come to my place. He doesn't like being told no." "Is he dangerous?" I asked. Tyler didn't answer for a second. Then he nodded once, quietly. "Yeah, he is." "Is that why you hang around him?" "Because you have to." He exhaled, rubbing his face with both hands. You ever know someone for so long it's like you're stuck with them? Family, but not the good kind. My mom and his mom are close. They think we're still tight because we grew up together. They don't see who he is now. And who is he? Tyler's voice dropped to a whisper. Someone who doesn't care who he hurts. A chill crawled up my spine. I should have ended the conversation right there. Should have told him to go to the cops, change his number, get away from them. But the way he said it, it wasn't fear alone. It was resignation. Like he'd already spent too much time with no way out. "Eli," he said slowly. "The truth is, coming here today was the first thing I've done in a long time that felt like something I chose. Not because someone told me to. Not because I was scared of saying no." He looked down at the table. "I didn't think I'd actually show up." "But you did?" I said. "Yeah," he breathed out. And now I'm just trying not to screw it up. The way he said that slid under my ribs in a way I wasn't prepared for. He didn't sound like a criminal anymore. He sounded like someone who'd been stuck in a bad orbit for years and finally felt gravity shifting. We sat in quiet for a moment. He sipped his untouched coffee, grimaced. It had gone cold, and pushed it away. "I should get a new one," he muttered. I found myself smiling. "You don't even like coffee, do you?" He blinked. "What? Why would you say that?" "You've been ignoring it since you sat down." His cheeks reddened slightly. "I usually get hot chocolate." "That's kind of cute," I said before my brain could stop my mouth. His eyes widened, and he looked away quickly, tugging his hoodie sleeve down like he needed something to do with his hands. "Oh." He'd slid up the back of my neck. I mean, not in a weird way." "No, it's fine," he said too quickly. But his voice softened a second later. "It's okay, Eli, really." We both fell silent. Not uncomfortable. Just aware. Too aware. A couple walked past our table, talking loudly, breaking the moment just enough for me to breathe again. Tyler stood. "Let me get another drink. I'll be right back." "Okay." I watched him walk to the counter, his movements small, cautious, like he didn't want to take up too much space. Something about that made my chest tighten unexpectedly. When he came back, he sat down with a paper cup and a mountain of whipped cream spilling over the lid. "Hot chocolate?" I asked. He nodded, embarrassed. "Yeah." I laughed, just a little. And he smiled, a real one this time. Small but warm. Then his phone buzzed. He froze. Slowly, he turned the screen toward himself. I saw the name flash across it, even from where I was sitting. Kyle. Tyler's face drained of color. "Is that him?" I asked quietly. Tyler nodded, thumb hovering over the declined call button. "He keeps texting me," he whispered. "He wants me to meet them at 8 tonight. Says they've got shit to do. What happens if you don't go?" His leg started bouncing again. Harder. He'll come looking for me. Here? I asked. Tyler shook his head. No, but he knows where I live, and my job, and… He stopped. The rest didn't need to be said. He looked up at me then, eyes suddenly very young. I don't want to go back there tonight. I don't want to be part of it again. So don't. I can't just disappear on him. Then don't be alone, I said before thinking. Stay with someone. Stay somewhere else. He stared at me, stunned, like the idea had never once occurred to him. Stay with who? And then, slowly, painfully slowly, his eyes met mine. I shouldn't have said it. I shouldn't have even thought it. But the words left my mouth before I could stop them. You can stay at my place tonight. Tyler's breath caught. Not loud, not dramatic, just a small, sharp inhale that made something in my chest flutter. You'd let me? He asked, voice barely above a whisper. I wouldn't have said it if I didn't mean it. He swallowed hard, staring at me like he wasn't sure if this was real, like no one had ever offered him safety before. And he said, very quietly, okay. Tyler didn't say anything for a long moment after agreeing. He just sat there, staring at the table like he wasn't sure what he'd just committed to. His hand tightened around his hot chocolate cup until the lid bent slightly. You sure? He finally whispered. About me staying with you? Yeah, I said. I'm sure. He exhaled slowly, like he'd been holding his breath for weeks, not minutes. His shoulders lowered a little. Not relaxed. He wasn't capable of relaxed yet, but less braced, less ready to bolt. Okay, he repeated, almost to himself. I stood, and he stood too quickly, bumping the table and sloshing whipped cream-topped hot chocolate onto his fingers. Shit, he hissed, shaking his hand. I grabbed some napkins and handed them over. He took them without meeting my eyes, cheeks flushed in embarrassment. Sorry, he muttered. You don't have to apologize for existing, you know. He looked up at me, quick, startled. Then something flickered in his expression, something like hope. Small, barely there. I'm not used to people wanting me around, he said, voice low enough that I almost missed it. Feels weird. Get used to it, I said before my brain could stop me. His eyes darted away, but I didn't miss the tiny smile tugging at the corner of his mouth. We left the cafe together, stepping into the cold afternoon air. He shoved his hands into his hoodie pockets immediately, hunching into himself like he wanted to be smaller. I walked beside him, not too close, giving him space. Still, every few seconds he glanced sideways at me, like he was checking if I was still there. My apartment wasn't far, just a few blocks, but the closer we got, the more rigid he became. Not from fear of me, but from something else. Anticipation. Hesitation, like crossing into my space, meant crossing into a different version of his life. We climbed the stairs slowly. When we got to my door, I hesitated before unlocking it. You can still back out, I said quietly. He shook his head immediately. No, I want to be here. I need to be here. He swallowed, fingers tightening in his pockets. I don't want to be alone tonight. Something inside me softened, deep and quiet. I unlocked the door and stepped inside. He followed, pausing just over the threshold like he wasn't sure if he was allowed to take another step. Take your shoes off, I said gently. You're safe here. He nodded, slipping them off carefully, lining them up next to mine even though mine were already messy and out of order. He was trying so hard not to disturb anything. My apartment isn't big, one bedroom, a little kitchen, a small living room. But the moment he walked in, the space felt different. Not crowded, just warmer, more aware. He glanced around, shoulders tight. It's nice. It's tiny. It's still nice. His eyes lingered on my bookshelf, the throw blanket on the couch, the mug I'd forgotten on the table. He took it all in like he hadn't been inside someone's safe place in a long time. You can sit, I said, nodding toward the couch. He did, cautiously, like it might break under him. I sat on the other side, giving him space, but close enough that we weren't strangers anymore. A few seconds passed before he spoke. What if he comes looking for me? He whispered. Kyle, He gets pissed when I don't respond. Don't respond. He nodded, but his leg bounced faster. I'm scared he'll show up. He gets angry, fast angry. And if he does, he's not getting in, I said firmly. Not tonight, not ever. Tyler looked at me again. Really looked, and something in his eyes shifted. Some wall he'd been clinging to cracked just a little. You don't even know me, he said softly. I'm getting to. He breathed out like the words hit somewhere he didn't expect. His phone buzzed again. He flinched. I held out my hand. Give it to me. He hesitated. Not long, but enough to show how ingrained the fear was, then reached into his pocket and handed me the phone like he was giving up something dangerous. Kyle's name was across the screen. Notifications stacked. Angry ones. Where are you? Answer me tonight. O-R-U-R. Done. I put the phone face down. You're not answering, I said. Tyler nodded slowly, almost in disbelief. Okay. We sat in silence for a minute. Then he said something so soft I almost missed it. I've never had someone stand up for me. You deserve it, I said without thinking. He blinked hard, fighting something, and looked down. Another long quiet fell over the room. But not tense, just full, like we were both adjusting to whatever this new thing was. You hungry? I asked. I should probably make us dinner. He hesitated. Can I help? You want to? He nodded once. Yeah. So we cooked. Nothing complicated. Pasta, vegetables, sauce. But the simple act of moving around the kitchen together started loosening him up. He reached for the cutting board at the same time I did, fingers brushing mine. He jerked back instinctively. Sorry. It's okay, I said. He looked at me carefully, like he was checking if I meant it. We moved around each other awkwardly at first, then less awkwardly. He laughed once, quietly, when I dropped a spoon. I pretended not to notice how his face lit up for half a second. When we sat down to eat, he took one bite, froze, and looked at me like I'd done something unimaginable. This is good, he said in a tiny, surprised voice. It's literally just pasta. No, it's... His voice cracked and he cleared his throat. It's nice, the whole thing. This. Being here. Doing something normal. I felt something warm move through me. After dinner, we moved to the couch again. This time, he didn't sit so far away. Not close. Not touching, but close enough that I could feel a little of his nervous heat beside me. He glanced over after a moment, voice low and unsure. Eli, can I ask you something? Sure. If I stay tonight, he hesitated, swallowing. Would it be okay if I slept on the couch? I don't want to take your bed. I watched him for a moment. The way he wouldn't meet my eyes, how his fingers fidgeted with the edge of his hoodie sleeve. Tyler, I said quietly, you can have the bed. His head snapped up. No, I can't do that. Then we'll figure it out, I said softly. But you're not sleeping alone in the dark, worried someone's gonna kick your door down. His breath hitched again. Okay. The room went still. Then he whispered, thank you. Not casual, not automatic. But like it hurt to say because no one had ever earned it before. And sitting there beside him, in that small, quiet space, I realized something. Tonight wasn't just about keeping him safe. It was the beginning of something neither of us had expected. Something real. Something shifting between us in ways neither of us had words for yet. For a long time after that, neither of us moved. Tyler sat there on the couch, shoulders tense but eyes softer than I'd ever seen them, like he was finally letting himself settle into the idea that he wasn't in danger. Not from me, not from his cousin, not for tonight. I could tell the weight of it sat strangely on him. Being safe, it was almost like he didn't know how to wear it. After a minute, he pulled his knees up a little, arms wrapped loosely around them, and glanced my way. What are we doing now? He asked quietly. Nothing, I said. Just existing, he exhaled. The kind of breath someone takes when they've been holding everything in for too long. That's new for me, he murmured. Existing somewhere that isn't hostile. I didn't know what to say to that. Not right away. But then I told him the truth. You're safe here, Tyler. I wouldn't have brought you if I didn't mean it. His throat bobbed. He didn't look at me, but his voice cracked slightly when he whispered, I know. He shifted, turning a little more toward me, like instinctively getting closer, even though he probably didn't realize he was doing it. He'd been sitting so rigidly since he arrived, but now he let his arm rest along the back of the couch, still several inches away from mine, but not as far as before. It was something. I cleared my throat. Do you want something to do? Watch something? Music? He shook his head. No, just talk to me. I don't care about what. Just don't let my brain go back to all the shit it's trying to think about. Okay? I said. We can talk. What about? I thought for a moment, then nudged him gently with my elbow. Tell me something real, he blinked. Like what? Like who you are when you're not following your cousin around. Tyler's face tightened for a second. Fear, guilt, self-loathing all flickering across his expression. But then he let out a humorless little laugh. That's the problem, he said. I don't really know. You must know something. He rubbed his hands together, staring at them. I used to like drawing. A pause, like when I was younger, before things got messy. What kind of drawing? Just whatever. People, places, stuff I saw, stuff I imagined. His voice turned softer, like this was painful to admit. I stopped because Kyle said it was a waste of time. I frowned. So, Tyler said, looking at me like it was obvious. I was stupid enough to listen. I shook my head. That's not stupid. That's survival. His eyes flicked up to mine. Careful. Searching. You think so? I know so. He looked away quickly, and I knew it wasn't because he disagreed. It was because he didn't know how to handle someone validating him for the first time in who knows how long. You ever think about drawing again? I asked. His voice dropped. Every day. It hit harder than I expected. I opened my mouth to say something, but his phone buzzed again. He flinched violently, like someone had fired a gun next to his ear. I reached over, grabbed the phone from where it sat on the table, and turned it face down again without checking it. Hey, I said gently, look at me. He hesitated, then slowly lifted his gaze. You're here, I said calmly. You're with me. And he's not touching you. He's not yelling at you. He's not anything right now. You're okay. Something in Tyler's eyes broke. Not in a dramatic way, but in a quiet, heartbreaking one. You keep saying that, he whispered, because it's true. He wiped at his nose with the back of his hand, suddenly embarrassed. Sorry, I don't usually get like this. You're allowed to be human, I said softly. He took a shaky breath and nodded. It's just, no one ever tells me I'm safe, or that I'm okay, or that I get to stop being scared. I leaned back into the couch, closer, without really thinking about it. Well, I'm telling you now. We sat like that for a bit, our shoulders not quite touching, but close enough that I could feel the heat coming off him. Close enough that if either of us shifted slightly, we would be touching. He didn't pull away. At some point, Tyler eyed the hallway leading to my bedroom and frowned like he was thinking too hard. Where am I actually sleeping? He asked softly. The couch or wherever makes you feel safest, I said. He swallowed. What about you? I'll take whatever's left. He looked down again, twisting the drawstring on his hoodie between his fingers. I don't want to push you out of your bed. You're not, I said. I can sleep anywhere. His voice dropped lower. I don't really want to be alone tonight. My heartbeat kicked a little faster in my chest. Not because of anything romantic, not yet, but because of how raw and honest that sounded coming from him. He wasn't asking for anything inappropriate. He wasn't hinting at anything. He just didn't want to sleep in a dark room alone with his anxiety spiraling. You don't have to be, I said quietly. He nodded slowly. Okay. For the first time since he stepped into my apartment, his body eased. Just a little, but enough that I could see him finally letting the safety sink in. "You tired?" I asked. He nodded, rubbing his eyes like he hadn't slept in days. Yeah. Let's get you settled." He hesitated, but then stood and followed me down the hallway. I flicked on the bedroom light and motioned toward the bed. "You can take that side," I said, feeling heat crawl up the back of my neck even though I wasn't suggesting anything weird. I kept my voice steady. "I'll stay on the top layer of blankets. No weirdness." His expression softened. "I trust you," he said quietly. "More than I trust anyone else right now." Something about hearing that, from someone who'd lived in chaos for so long, hit me deeper than I expected. Tyler climbed into the bed with a care I'd never seen from him before, like he was scared to mess it up. I turned off the light and lay on the opposite side, keeping space between us. For a few seconds, all I heard was his breathing. Shaky, uneven, trying to calm itself. Then, so softly I almost didn't hear it. "Eli? Yeah? Thanks for not making me feel like trash." "You're not trash." He swallowed audibly. "I know. Or I'm trying to." I shifted slightly, just enough that our shoulders almost, not quite, brushed in the dark. "You're doing better than you think," I whispered. Tyler let out a quiet breath, shaky but relieved, and then, "Can you stay awake for a bit?" "I don't think I can fall asleep if I'm the first one to." "I'm here," I said. "I'm not going anywhere." I felt him relax slowly, inch by inch, like a tightly wound spring finally loosening. And for the first time since the mugging, maybe for the first time in his life, Tyler fell asleep safe, right beside me. Tyler slept like someone who hadn't felt safe in years. Not peacefully. Not at first. He shifted, twitched, murmured things under his breath that made my chest tighten. But gradually, little by little, his breath slowed, deepened, smoothed out. His body uncoiled the longer he stayed asleep beside me. At some point, his hand slid a little closer to mine, not touching, just near, like his body was searching for reassurance, even while unconscious. I stayed awake, like I promised. Not because I was scared, not because I thought Kyle would show up, but because the weight of what was happening, the strangeness, the tenderness, the quiet intimacy of someone trusting me enough to sleep this close, kept me wired. Around 3 a.m., Tyler stirred. I heard the soft hitch of his breath before he whispered, "Eli? I'm here." He shifted, turning slightly in my direction. In the dim glow from the hallway nightlight, I could see his eyes were barely open, lashes heavy with sleep. "You didn't sleep," he murmured. "You told me not to," I said gently. "You said you couldn't fall asleep first." He blinked, confused for a second. Then his expression softened. "Right, I forgot. Go back to sleep," I said. He hesitated. "Can I ask something? Without it being weird?" "Sure," he swallowed, voice small. "Can you stay closer?" My heart jolted. Not in a romantic way, but in a deeply human one. The kind of jolt you get when someone shows you the most fragile part of themselves. "Yeah," I whispered. "I can." I scooted just a little closer, enough that our shoulders brushed lightly. The contact was subtle, warm, grounding. Tyler exhaled like he'd been holding a breath for hours. "Sorry," he said softly. I haven't slept next to someone since I was a kid, before everything got messed up. It feels different." "Different good?" I asked. "Different safe," he murmured, already fading back into sleep. Within minutes, he was gone again, breathing slow, steady, leaning the slightest bit into me. I finally let my own eyes close. Not fully asleep, but drifting in and out, listening for anything that might startle him awake. But the apartment stayed quiet. No buzzing phone, no pounding on the door, no cousin yelling his name, just us and the soft hum of the radiator. Sunlight leaked around the edges of the blinds when I woke again. My back ached, my arm had fallen asleep, and at some point during the night, Tyler had shifted until his forehead rested lightly against my shoulder. I froze, not wanting to wake him, not wanting to make him think he'd crossed some line. He looked different while sleeping. Younger, softer. Like the edges life had carved into him had briefly disappeared. But then his phone buzzed on the nightstand. He shot awake so fast he nearly collided with me. Hey, it's okay, I said quickly, sitting up. His breath came sharp and fast, eyes wide. He scanned the room like he expected someone else to be in it. His phone buzzed again. He flinched. Eli, he whispered, voice broken. I don't want to look at it. Then don't. But what if it's... It doesn't matter who it is, I said. You're not with him, you're here. His breathing slowed. Not fully, but enough that the panic receded at the edges. He looked at me then. Really looked. Like he hadn't quite processed. That I was still there. That he hadn't been abandoned in the middle of the night. You stayed, he said quietly. I told you I would. He ran a hand through his hair, embarrassed. I don't know how to deal with someone doing that. You don't have to know, I told him. You just have to let it happen. Something flickered across his face then. Something that made my own chest feel uncomfortably warm. He sat up, pulling his knees to his chest. Last night was the first night I didn't have nightmares. Or not the usual ones. I studied him. And what did you dream about? He hesitated, then shook his head with a small, shy smile. Doesn't matter. It wasn't bad. I didn't push. He glanced toward the phone again and swallowed hard. I should check it, just to know. Do you want me to look first? I offered. He stared at me with this strange, vulnerable expression. Like the fact I offered mattered more than the phone itself. Yeah, he said softly. Please. I picked up the phone. 12 messages. All from Kyle. But the tone had changed. The newest notification wasn't angry. It was a video message. My stomach dropped before I even opened it. I didn't hit play. Not yet. But the thumbnail was enough. Tyler's cousin, grinning, holding what looked like Tyler's sketchbook, pages torn out, shredded. Tyler saw my face and went pale. What? What is it? I turned the screen toward him, slowly, giving him time to brace. He stared at the image. His breath left him in one sharp exhale. No, he whispered. No, what the hell? He went into my room. He doubled over slightly, hands in his hair, pulling like he was trying to keep himself from unraveling. Tyler, I said, reaching out but stopping just short of touching him. Tyler, hey, look at me. He didn't. His voice cracked. He took the only thing I cared about, the one thing that wasn't his to touch. He destroyed it. I closed the phone, placed it face down. Tyler, I said again, gently but firmly. Look at me. Slowly, painfully, he did. His eyes were glossy with unshed tears, jaw trembling. I don't have anything left, he whispered. He takes everything from me. Every time. My heart ached in a way I didn't expect. You have something left, I said. You have me. The moment stretched, quiet and electric, like something shifting between us in real time. You don't even know me, he choked out. So? I said. I know enough. His breath stuttered. Then he said the softest thing yet. Can you just stay with me? For a minute? I'm not going anywhere, I said, moving closer. Not today. He didn't collapse into me, didn't hug me, didn't break down. He just leaned. Barely. But enough that his shoulder pressed into mine, warm and trembling and real. And I stayed right there beside him, while everything he'd built fell apart. He reached for me, and I didn't let him fall. Tyler didn't speak for a while after that. He just sat with his shoulder pressed against mine, breathing slowly through the panic. The kind of slow, shaky breaths you take when the world feels like it's collapsing, but you're still trying to keep yourself upright. I didn't rush him, didn't push him, didn't fill the silence. I just stayed. Eventually, his breathing settled. Not calm, exactly, but steadier. He rubbed his hands over his face, wiped at the corners of his eyes, and let out a long, unsteady exhale. I'm sorry, he murmured. For what? For falling apart like that. His voice cracked a little. For dumping all my shit on you. For showing up. For... Tyler, I said, cutting him off gently. You're allowed to fall apart. You're allowed to need someone. You're allowed to be human. He swallowed, jaw trembling a little, like he wasn't used to hearing that from anyone. Then, slowly, thank you. For all of this, I nodded. You don't need to thank me. I do, he said, meeting my eyes. No one's ever helped me without wanting something back. I felt something heavy twist in my chest. Not pity, but something deeper, something more protective than I wanted to admit. I let out a slow breath. Tyler, do you want to stay here for more than just last night? His eyes flicked to mine, startled. What do you mean? I mean, I said carefully, until you figure things out. Until you know you're safe. Until you decide what you want to do about your cousin. You don't have to go back there. He blinked, stunned. You'd let me stay here? For a bit, I said. Yeah. His lips parted like he didn't know how to breathe. Why? He whispered. Because I want to help you, I said simply. And because you walked back into my life after hurting me. And instead of lying or running away, you told me the truth. You faced it. That's something. He watched me with this expression I couldn't read at first, until I realized it was a mix of disbelief and something softer, warmer. But you don't know what you're getting into, he whispered. Maybe not, I said. But I know I trust my gut, and my gut says you're trying, and that you want to be better. And that matters. He took a shaky breath, eyes dropping. No one's ever said that to me. I didn't know what to say to that, so I didn't. Instead, I reached out and gently tapped his arm with my hand. Not a full touch, just enough to let him know I was here. He froze at the contact, not in fear, more like surprise. Then, slowly, he leaned into it. A moment passed, quiet, warm, oddly intimate in the morning light, and then Tyler took another deep breath and sat up straighter. I want to change, he said softly. I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to be the person who scares people. I don't want to be stuck with him anymore. You won't be, I said. How do you know? Because you're stronger than you think, I said. And because this time, you're not doing it alone. His eyes softened. Eli, why are you being so good to me? I didn't have an answer that didn't feel too raw, too soon. So I told him the truth I could handle. Because you deserve someone in your corner. Tyler looked down, a tiny, self-conscious smile appearing. I don't know what to say. You don't have to say anything. We sat a little longer. Eventually, he glanced toward the bedroom door. Everything hurts, he said under his breath. Your body or your heart? I asked. Both, he admitted. Then you need food. He huffed out a small laugh. More pasta? Maybe not pasta for breakfast. He smiled again. Small, but more real this time. Can I help? You can sit and keep me company. He followed me to the kitchen, grabbing the chair closest to the counter. I made eggs and toast while he watched. Elbows on the table, hair a mess from sleep, hoodie sliding off one shoulder. He looked different in daylight. Not dangerous, not tense. Just a guy who'd been through too much and didn't know what to do with kindness. After we ate, he helped clean up, refusing to just sit and be taken care of, even if he clearly didn't know what he was doing with the sponge. When the dishes were done, he stood there awkwardly, wiping his hands on his jeans. So what now? He asked. Now, I said, you text your cousin and tell him you're not meeting him. Then you block him, and then we figure out what comes next. He paled. I can't just... You're not alone, I reminded him. He took a slow breath, then nodded. He typed something with trembling fingers and hit send, then blocked the number. It's done, he whispered, and the second it was, his whole body sagged, like a weight he'd been carrying for years suddenly slipped off his shoulders. You okay? I asked. No, he admitted, but I feel lighter. Good, I said. He stepped closer without realizing it, barely a foot away from me now. His eyes lifted to mine, uncertain but warm in a way I hadn't seen before. Eli? Yeah? He hesitated, Then, "Do you want me here?" The way he asked it, soft, vulnerable, almost scared, hit me harder than anything else had. I took a step toward him. "I do," I said quietly. "I want you here." His breath caught, just a small sound, barely audible, but I heard it, and in that tiny, breathless moment, something in the air between us shifted again, not dramatic, not rushed, just real. He reached up, very slowly, and touched his forehead to mine. Not a kiss, not even close, just a silent, grateful, trembling gesture. "Thank you," he whispered, and I whispered back, "You're safe." We stayed like that for a long moment, breathing the same air, steadying each other without needing to say another word. Because this wasn't the beginning of chaos or danger or fear. It was the beginning of something else entirely, something soft, unexpected, slow-burning, and real. Something that started with a mugging and turned into a connection neither of us saw coming.